We're now in the 8th Perek of Yehoshua, and here you get to see what happens when you're on the right frequency. When you have a second chance at a first impression. And so that's what happens. Yehoshua is going to revisit the war with Ai. And this time, Hashem is on his side. Hashem says in Pasuk Aleph, Al tira v'al techat. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Because what's going to be? I'm going to be with you. Re'i nasati bi'atcha. I'm going to give into your hands Ai. Not only Melech Ai and his people and his Iro and Artso. Now we're going to get to where the music is playing. It's going to be a good battle. And it's so nice to have the ultimate power on your side. But you have to do your part. Kach imcha es kol am hamilchama. Now it's time to use all of your resources. That's what you're going to show with Ai, because we know you do a little bit of the opening and HaKadosh Baruch Hu does the rest. And it's the interesting idea Rabbi Rosner mentions that is the idea of what happened in the Teva. You really think that all of the animals of the world can get into a little Teva? I don't care how big it is. It certainly couldn't fit this species and all of the permutations of allowing it to be so incredibly complicated and special. But what ultimately happened is that we did our part. We did a little bit. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu did the rest. Hashem made the miracle because Noach worked really hard on creating a teva. And so here Hashem says, yes, bring all of your efforts, but ultimately just take a look at what I can do. So I'm going to do exactly what I did to Yericho and to its king. And again, you can, not a problem. You can take whatever spoils you want and cattle for yourselves, but here's the plan. The plan is going to be a really interesting one. You're going to ambush the city behind it. And so all of the troops go out. And Yehoshua, of course, is the leader of his delegation. And he chooses 30,000 men. Real strong Giborei Chayil. We know what is a Gibor Chayil, someone who's learning, and he's a tzaddik as well as a warrior. And in Gibor Chayil also, we have to make mention of the halacha that you're not allowed to be afraid to go into a Melchames Mitzvah, to go out to battle. You could be afraid beforehand, and Hashem even says, if you're going to be too afraid, don't go into battle. But once you get into battle, you have to be strong and you cannot be afraid. And what you're going to do is some people are going to be ahead and they're going to go into battle, into the purview of the people of Ai, and the rest of you are going to lie in ambush behind the city. Don't stay too far from the city and be on alert. Now, it's so interesting because obviously Hashem could be making a miracle, which he will, but the idea is that this is a calculated plan because we learn from Yaakov. We have Lidoron, Litzvila, Ulamilchama. We have different parts of a plan. This is the part where they have to do their hard work. They have to have a strategic element to it. And what's going to happen is the troops are all going to approach with Yehoshua into the city, and all of the people of Ai are going to come to try to fight. And not only that, but when the other nations see that the Jews are fighting against the people of Ai, they're going to come with too. And so the larger the army that you create, Klal Yisrael, the more it's going to attract the other nations, which are going to be to your advantage. And ultimately what's going to happen is they're going to come out against the Jews, and the Jews are going to try to run away. Now, when they run away, right, what we're really drawing them away from their city, and they're going to think, okay, we're gonna knock some sense into them again. Why they're glutton for punishment? They want to come and fight against us, but really, It's the ambush. People are going to come into the city that is no longer protected. And ultimately, that's exactly what's going to happen. We'll be able to burn the city. We'll be able to capture the city and do exactly as Hashem commanded. Kedvar Hashem ta'asu. Ra'u tzivisi atchem. Remember, I have given you the orders. Jews, there's always a level of interpretation. We do our mitzvos to the best of our capability, and each one of us has a different power. Each one of us has a different approach, but ultimately, it has to be in accordance with halacha. It's not, we don't make up our own religion, and here we have to do Kedvar Hashem. And remember, so it also is Kedvar Hashem, is that you have to remember that it is only in accordance with the Dvar Hashem that makes anything come true. Yehoshua sends them off, and they do the ambush, they do the whole thing, and so many people rush in, and ultimately Yehoshua marches, of course, as the head of the troops, and the whole thing plays out exactly. He selected 5,000 men. He stations them in the ambush between Beit El and Ai, west of the city, and they ultimately they wage a war. They're successful. The king of Ai sees them. He and all of his troops. It's interesting. He's leader upon leader, and he tries to engage them in battle, but no one realizes that ultimately, there's an ambush going on, and we have a strategic victory. Now, why is it that Hashem made it that it would be a strategic victory? He could have done anything. He could have made it, some crazy victory, but that's not what we're up to. Remember, we're at a different stage in our Jewish history. We're at the stage where there are no open miracles. Hashem Kiviyachol has his hands tied. He will not make a major miracle if not for the necessity for it, but he wants it to be and to teach the people. No, there's strategy involved. There is achdus involved. You can't just send 3,000 people and expect, Hashem's just going to make a miracle for you. It doesn't happen. Those days are over. Those days happened in the days of Moshe. Yehoshua is a different kind of leader in a different kind of time, and that's not what's going to happen. And so this is great strategy. And ultimately Hashem then says to Yehoshua, Neteh b'kidon asher b'yadecha ela Ai, hold on to the javelin in your hand against Ai, and I will deliver it into your hands, and that's exactly what happens. Now, they enter into the city, they capture it. The men of the Ai, they see everything, that the whole place is burning up. They don't understand how this could have happened because they were pursuing their pursuers. But ultimately, that is what happens, and ultimately they take the king as well, and the king of Ai is taken alive, and he's brought to Yehoshua, and all of the people that Israel had killed, all the inhabitants of Ai, and every man to the last man fell by sword, and that's it. And the total of the people who fell on that day came in the total population of Ai were 12,000 people. Now, what's interesting is in Pasuk 26 we read, Yehoshua lo hishiv yado asher natah b'kidon. Yehoshua would not drop his hand, which he had this javelin in, until every single one of the people of Ai were exterminated. So, in a theoretical sense, that just means, he was until the last man is counted for. He was the leader, and he took response. But if you think about it, it also reminds us of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe kept his hands up the whole time that the battle was going on with Amalek. And as long as they were in fighting mode, he was in, holding up his hand mode, both so that, that they could look, that he and the people could look to Herim Yado El HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to hold up his hands to Hashem. And here, Yehoshua is doing exactly what his Rebbe had taught him to do. That's what a leader does. He makes sure that the people that his hand is with Hashem, and the people can follow his hands. Now, the Bnei Israel took the cattle, they took the spoils, they took the booty, but this time Yehoshua doesn't say anything that he's not allowed to do, and everyone learns their lesson. Win. It's a win. And Yehoshua completely burns Ai. And why? It's something that we'll see later on in Nach, which is that, in order to really destroy the avodah zarah and the tumah of a place, you need to burn it. Every time that the kings later on, in a long, long time from now, that the kings don't burn the avodah zarah and they just let it be, just remain, then someone picks it up and starts to do bad things. And so it is common practice if to really destroy everything. But he turns it into ruins, and that is kept ad hayom hazeh. Again, everything that's happening in the beginning of Nach here is Ladoros. It's to give us it's to give us, the people, this fundamental belief of we need to remember this. Zechira, we must remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hand in this. We must remember how we got it right this time and when we didn't get it wrong. They ultimately, they take the king, they hang him on a tree, kind of reminiscent of Haman, and that's it. At the end of the day, they left him lying, and the body was lying in the entrance of the gate city. And again, the stones represent Zechira. You're going to remember it. And Yehoshua built a Mizbeach LaHashem. Now, when he built a Mizbeach to Hashem, remember that Mizbeach does not have any, it's not cut from any iron. The Mizbeach had fully formed without iron. And we know that that is the source of why we don't have any knives on our table during benching. And the reason is that knives represent a cutting down of life, and Mizbeach represents the opposite, a beautiful addition to life. And one idea that we've spoken about in the past, and that is that another reason that they don't have the knives has to do with the fact that one guy at one point saw a knife when he said Ubnei Yerushalayim. He was so distraught about the Chorban that he killed himself. So for that reason, we don't have a knife. But that makes absolutely, it's a little bit nonsensical, because for one guy who went Meshuggah that one time, we don't have knives. But the idea is that inside of us, we all should, and be zocha to have that feeling of really, when we say Ubnei Yerushalayim, to feel the true loss of what we have. And Mirz Hashem, we should not have to have that loss, but also Mirz Hashem, we should really feel what it means not to have the Beis HaMikdash. Anyway, so they write on the Mizbeach, on the avanim of the shlemos of the Mizbeach, the Sefer Torah's Moshe. Some say it's the Sefer of Devarim. Some say it's just the 613 mitzvos. But in any event, they do that. And again, no win is a win without recognition of who created the win, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to be Makar Tov to Hashem, just to give thanks. And so it's all written, and everybody comes, and the Aron is there, and now they're doing the next thing, which is Har Grizim and Har Eval. Half of the people are facing Har Grizim, half of the Shvatim are on Har Eval, and some say that this story actually happened way, way, way earlier, the day that they came. They crossed the Yarden and they did the thing in Gilgal. They also somehow got in this Har Grizim and Har Eval bit and then came back. I'm not really sure. Some say it happened, that there is a Mukdam and Muchar b'Torah. There's no real chronology in the Torah, and it happened that one day. And some say no, it happened, Bo Bayom, exactly as we had it. Now the idea of that the brachos were on Grizim and the klalos that were mentioned are on Har Eval, to recognize that there are blessings and there are curses. And really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us all, it's all in the form of a blessing, but it's how you see it and what you do with your brachos that really matter. If you do, someone is given a bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because it's all bracha, and if you treat it as a bracha, and if you treat it as an opportunity, then it actually materializes into something special. Otherwise, unfortunately, not so much. You can have every bracha in the world, but it could appear to be a curse for you, because it will fail to come to any fruition. And there was lo hayad davar mikol asher tziva Moshe. Not one thing did Yehoshua not do. He's doing everything that he has to. Moshe sheping nachas and shamayim for Yehoshua, his prodigy, to really come to terms and to grow. And the people are respecting him and they're following, and everyone's doing exactly the way that Moshe would have liked, which is it's a special thing. Moshe had wanted so much. He raised the Bnei Israel, and he wanted so much to be able to come into Eretz Yisrael. It's a nice recognition to give to him that they're the Torah's Moshe and everything that Moshe had commanded. On some level, it's the nachas moment. And sometimes when we have really, really special things happen, it's good. It's good to give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, obviously. And we should always be makar tov. It's also good to see where we came from, who may have contributed, what parent or what teacher or what role model or, what purpose in life happened that got us to come to this place, and how it really, was really in sync with, and that is, the idea of the Masorah, that there is a chain of command that we follow, not only in the Torah, but also in the Masorah.